What is up, everyone? The new patch has dropped, and there are two decks that I have to share with you today that will make your climb to Legend extremely easy. One of them is very fun and intuitive, but very difficult to play. The other, you can just play on curve and hit Legend very simply, and I think it's going to get nerfed. So I do want to present that deck to you today. We'll go through them, but first I want to go through the deck that I enjoy a little bit more, which is not as good, and that is Draenei Crewmate. Both of these decks were based off of decks that I used in the achievement video. You can find that video up here in the corner. I made some small changes to my lists, and the buffs have really helped them. This one in particular is interesting. This Draenei Crewmate one is based around the Crewmate mechanic. And just as a refresher, the Crewmates are 4 mana 4/4 minions. Anytime you play one, its battle cry is to summon adjacent Crewmates. So if you have 2 in your hand next to each other, both will come out. If you have 3, all 3 will come out, etc. The question is how can you reliably get Crewmates next to each other? There are a couple of ways to generate them and figure that out. So first of all, there are a few cards that generate the Crewmates. Emergency Meeting, that's one of them. Headhunt creates a Crewmate. Voronai Recruiter was buffed, it creates a Recruitmate. And Deirdre, which creates a bunch of Crewmates. We'll talk about all of those cards shortly and whether or not I think they're good. Well, let's talk with Headhunt. This is great. It hits face. It is a very, very good card. If you're playing Crewmate at all, you're playing this mechanic at all, this is a must-have in your deck. Where is Voronai Recruiter? This was recently buffed from a 1/3 to a 2/3. That buff is significant. This means that if you play Wanderer, Starlight Wanderer, on 1, your Voronai Recruiter comes out as a 4/4, which is very relevant because it's difficult to remove and pretty flavorful. Very cool little synergy there. Blizzard, props to that. And this is a good card. If this stays on the board, your opponent is in trouble because it's generating Crewmates in your hand. Emergency Meeting. This is another 2-drop. Get 2 4/4 Crewmates in your hand, and you put a random demon that costs 3 or less between them. This is meant to be played on curve. You play something on 1, you play Emergency Meeting on 2, you play the demon from Emergency Meeting on 3, plus other cards if you can, and you play double Crewmates on 4. And 2 Crewmates, 3 Crewmates on 4 is a lot to deal with, and quite simply, that line of play has won me many games. I took this from Diamond 4 to Legend. So don't let anyone tell you that you can't play Crewmates and hit Legend with it, okay? It is very possible. Other cards that I've added to the shell to support it are a few Draenei. I haven't added a lot. I have Velin in here, but a lot of the Draenei synergies don't really work, but there are ones that are relatively good. Starlight Wanderer is one of them because you play this on curve, you get a body, and it helps buff your immediate board presence. Stranded Spaceman is a 2-drop, but he also gives your next Draenei rush. All your Crewmates are Draenei, by the way. Some of your Crewmates, like the Poison one, are so good because of cards like Stranded Spaceman and Felon Fames. They become pseudo-removal to get through a big con. I've used it in a couple of my games. You can see it in the video. Very strong. Crimson Command is also good, especially if you have a handful of Crewmates, but it is a bit difficult to play. Ace Wayfinder is great. This card was just recently buffed, and it is strong because it comes out and it's a relevant body, but it gives your next Draenei the same buffs. So you can use it to give one of your Crewmates a Deirdre. Now, on paper, Deirdre seems really bad, right? But Deirdre, I put her in my top 10 legendaries for the set, and I'm standing by it. A lot of people say, okay, you're shuffling 8 Crewmates in your deck. If you draw a Crewmate, it feels bad because it's a 4/4 minion. Without other Crewmates, it's not very valuable, right? Now, she was recently buffed, so now you draw 2 Crewmates, making her slightly better, but the effect still kind of feels bad, right? I think most players still feel bad about that. However, I think people are not really considering the card with the rest of the package that Demon Hunter has access to. Demon Hunter has access to Glaivatar. So many ways to draw a card. There's Crimson, all these outcast cards that draw cards, right? There are so many ways to fill your hand. It is quite easy to run out of cards as Demon Hunter, but Deirdre helps you fill that deck up, right? And so I can see how the developers wanted a very low curve deck with maybe even Deirdre at the top end, and then you draw through it and play big turns of multiple crewmate. I don't understand why there's so much negativity around this card. It's not that bad. It's not the greatest, right? I mean, it's not Kill Jaden, it's not Ziliax, but it's very playable. Anyway, the problem with this deck is that if control decks reach their critical mass of mana, you're going to struggle because their value of cards is just better. So that's where Kill Jaden comes in, and usually in matchups like Control Warrior, Kill Jaden is just a godsend. I'll play it as early as possible, as long as they have draw, and then I'll value my opponent with big demons that he eventually cannot answer. I really do like this deck. I hit Legend with this. 3 cards that I played, Paraglide and Weight of the World, were amazing. Weight of the World is only good against decks that aren't as fast as you, but trust me, that's going to be most of the meta. Okay, Paraglide, pretty versatile, and these are cards that after Kill Jaden, I would keep these if I had Kill Jaden in hand versus a longer matchup. But yeah, that's the deck in a nutshell. It's pretty good. The other deck, and I think this deck is better and much stronger, I played this after I hit Legend, and I was having a blast. It was just a ridiculous deck. It's Libram Paladin. This is almost card for card the exact list that I played in my achievement video, but I did make a couple changes, and I'll talk about them in a bit. Libram Paladin's pretty simple. The game plan is simple. You play creatures, then you discount your Librams, then you play your Librams. Now, what people don't understand is the game plan really revolves around Libram of Divinity. This is an inevitable threat. This is consistent +3/+3 every turn, and sometimes even more, right? The goal should be to discount 4 mana worth of Libram discounts. The buff to this weapon, instead of Star Slicer, allows you to do that much faster. This weapon used to be 3 durability and 2 attack. Now they've swapped it to 3 attack and 2 durability. And it's much better with this stat line, because on turn 4, if you play this on 3, on turn 4, you're going to have activated your Libram buff, or your Libram discount, by 2. Previously, you'd have to be on turn 5 to activate it. That buff and speed has been significant, and some games can get close, but this deck is very, very strong. This archetype is very strong. I see a lot of people doing different things with the archetype, and I think there's a lot of room for experimentation and testing, like especially cards like Flickering Lightbot. Like, you know, that might be an interesting choice, and using the 1 mana drinks, but I don't think that route makes most sense. I think you want to be as clean as possible, and this is the list that I like the most. I do like having an insurance at the top end. Lumia, very good against aggro, very good against Asteroid Shaman, and Amethyst is just a stellar anti-aggro card. This is the ultimate balancing card. So I really think this deck is strong. You got Sunsapper Linessa for crazy turns, and playing Libram of Faith for 4 is good enough. It is strong. You don't have to discount this to 0 and give it rush, but playing this with 4 mana is worthwhile. So, I mean, this is a deck. I think it's crazy. Give it a try. Let me know what you think. I think it gets nerfed. I think they make some type of change. There's something about Librams, but it is very good. So anyway, enjoy.